Okay, so like tension is like the move, like things are actually sort of starting to like happen in the movie. You would think, but then
you would hope
the movie goes from like 20 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour. That's it
for one action scene.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oof, we gotta breathe, we gotta calm down." And then they'll go back to like 35, maybe.
Grab some popcorn and stick around. We've got some garbage to talk about.
Hi, Connor.
Hi, Zax.
So we just watched something interesting today.
Yes. Logie Poo, Logan Paul.
Everybody's favorite Paul.
In a movie.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know if a lot of you guys remember this phase, but before he, like, really blew up, before all of, the Paul legacy or whatever, he was, like, an actor. He was, like, in an episode of, I think it was Law & Order SVU or something.
Really? I thought he got this off of being getting pretty popular.
Yeah, I think it was like they were Vine stars, but like, and then after Vine, they used that to like become actors because like Jake Paul was on a Disney Channel show too. But then they didn't really get like into like the millions of followers until they started like the vlog thing when like the whole Team 10 stuff blew up.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't following the whole Paul saga, but we have a YouTube movie, because, they wanted Logan Paul to be in it. We have The Thinning.
Yeah. One thing is, they made several other original programs after this, but at a certain point, they just stopped making anything like this. They're like, we're only going to do, like, reality shows, or...
The Pauls are YouTube.
YouTube, like, premium.
Because,
like, they don't...
Yeah, I feel like YouTube tried to have a bunch of, YouTube stars be in movies or something, but they were, I guess, always low budget, because this one certainly seemed low budget. And, obviously, the Pauls didn't turn into mega stars, because this movie was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad they don't try to do that.
they decided to stay in their lane. So, okay, The Thinning, I would say, we talked about this while we watched it, it's sort of teen light version of, like, The Hunger Games and The Purge.
Yeah, those were the major kind of trends at the time. This was, 2016? So,
yeah.
After The Hunger Games, and you had all of those other young adult series that were trying to be, like, kind of dystopian future, like young adults, fighting their way through things like Divergent. I'm trying to remember those.
Divergent, The Hunger Games, and then there was also The Giver and Maze Runner.
Maze Runner, I'd say Giver was a book several decades, ago. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But a movie attempt at it definitely was doing the same thing. Like, hey, this is the hot new trend. Let's put a movie out.
One thing that's funny about the Maze Runner is I never read the books, but my friend had read the books, and every time we watched one of the movies, it was always so funny where she talked about how they took the books as such a small suggestion and just, like, ran wild in the movies.
Yeah.
I like when book fans do that, because, like, anyway. Okay, so The Thinning. The world has gotten too big for its britches, so they need to trim down the population by 5% annually.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much each, like, country has to do it, but...
Well, the United Nations was leading it, and so...
But would they give people, like, okay, America, this many people need to die this year.
I think it was
Bulgaria,
just...
this many people
5% of your population annually, yeah. So the world is overcrowded, global warming, not enough resources, da-da-da. So, yeah, 5% of the world's population needs to be culled annually to save humanity.
Yeah, so I guess just to break this up, the movie spends like 20 minutes on the first thinning, and then the rest of the whole movie is the second thinning.
Yeah, so the U.S.'s method of doing this, or at least Texas's method of doing this, where this movie takes place, is to have a test called the thinning that apparently you need to take every single grade. And, like, the 5% that get the worst scores get pulled aside and killed, allegedly.
One thing, too, is, like, at some point they make it clear that the characters, like, these, where the high schoolers we're following for the most part, have taken this test since elementary school. So, like, that's 5% every year since, like, at least 5th grade.
Yeah, at the start
how much population do we need to lose?
At the start of the movie, it made it seem like it was just one test, at the end of high school. And so it was like 18-year-olds or so that would happen. But then as the movie goes on, it establishes, no, they've had to take this like every grade. And you actually watch a bunch of kindergartners have to take their version of the test. And some fail and get pulled aside. So it's like, yeah, wow, they really have had to take this every academic year.
And I guess, like, you would never forget this animation, but they have an animation explaining it. And it's just weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, they don't really have, like, a speech for the high schoolers taking the test. It's just, like, for the kids, you can watch a cute little cartoon about why you might die today.
Yeah, for the kindergartners, it's a nice, happy, fun cartoon that makes them laugh. For the high schoolers, it's like just like an AP test. It's like, well, the door is closed. You have 2 hours. Do your best. Get going.
And so Logan Paul he's the star of this movie, and he is the governor of Texas's son.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is something weird too. Like, for big tests, yeah, you should study for them. And I get that people cram, but some people need to, like, just sort of relax before the test to, like, wind their nerves down, right? Like, that's normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying not to analyze that part too much, since this is a test to determine your life. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you're already going to be stressed enough taking the test because you might die. So if you personally believe that the best thing for you is to relax, why would your dad put more stress on you the night before this test that you might die?
Oh, you're talking about when Logan Paul's character Blake, his dad, was talking to him? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, because
it's Pop-Tart ad.
Concern. Are we going through this in scene order, or because then we can talk about Pop-Tarts then? But
I guess I was just like mentioning that, but we're kind of going through like the big parts mostly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to explain the overall sort of how this is set up, what it is. I mean, I also don't want to be the guy standing outside again, like the Advanced Placement Testing Center, going like, hey, calm down already. Come on. This test isn't a big deal, all right? It's going to be way harder if you are like freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's literally a test to determine who lives or who dies.
Yeah, no, and so for the first thing, we get to see the kids, there are 2 stars. There's Logan Paul and Elena Michaels. She's played by Peyton List, who's like a Disney Channel star too, and been in other stuff. But anyway, so Logan Paul's night before the test, he hangs out with his girlfriend Leah Marie Johnson, who from Tagged. So I'll put a card in the corner for her.
So it's not just YouTube stars, because you hear about other YouTube movies, like what was it, Airplane Mode, where it was like a bunch of YouTube stars that all were just insufferable. But here it's like Logan Paul, which I'll admit, I thought Logan Paul would have been like, no, I'm the main character. I need to be on screen like as much as you can, 99% of the time. I thought it would have been that, but actually they put
Yeah.
a lot of emphasis on, other characters, which... So I thought Logan Paul would have dominated more of the movie than he did, so that's nice. But yeah, it's Logan Paul, but then you have, other actors. It's not all like a YouTube star list.
Yeah. So he's trying to hang out with his girlfriend, Leah Marie Johnson, and then like security comes, who's also the dad from Tagged too, cop dad, and he stops them and he brings them back.
Yeah.
I guess he takes her home.
Yeah, Logan Paul's the governor's son. He sneaks out of the house, the mansion or whatever, easily jumps a tiny fence, gets in gets in a sports car that sure as heck looks like it only has, 2 seats. And then he gets surprised by his girlfriend, who was somehow in the back seats.
And then...
Huh?
And even if she, like, pushed the seat up
no
to
room.
get there...
Yeah.
Because, like, for sure there's 2 doors, but if we pretend that, like, I don't even know if it was a 4-seater, but I guess so.
No, it sure looked like one of those street, like, Lamborghini sports cars.
But, like, yeah, I'm just saying, but, like, even if we pretend there are 4 seats in the car, they still added a sound effect of her going out the back door and coming around, instead of, because they didn't want to film her awkwardly having to climb up the front.
I'd say it was a 3-seater, because if you're in the back, you have to lie down. Yeah. She surprises him from the back seats, gets in, and then they sneak over to some other rich house. Maybe it's her house or something. Yeah. I don't know. But then they do a little skinny dipping. Logan Paul takes off everything but his underwear and his socks. He leaves his socks on when he goes skinny dipping. That's weird, bro. Then they're just making out in the front seat of in the seats of the car, and it's like, oh, haha, like, you got caught. You gotta go back home to dad, son.
Yeah, and then, and then basically the dad does this weird Pop-Tart commercial, even though they don't say that they're, like, having to, like, ration food or whatever, so I don't know why this Pop-Tart's so special.
Yeah, Logan's talking to his dad, who, again, is the governor of Texas, and it's like, you've got to take this seriously, son. Do you want a Pop-Tart? And I thought maybe that was, like, a little goof or something, but no, then the dad walks over to, like, a cigar box and pulls out wrapped Pop-Tarts. What?
And then it's also like the dialogue stops being about, like, this is your life on the line. He's like, some people like them toasted, but I think they're perfect just the way they are. What?
He pulled them out of, like, a fancy cigar box. But Logan's not the only character being shown. There's a few other groups. There's this kid who's studying, and he's having a hard time. It's one of those things where he looks at it for 5 seconds, looks at some math or something. It's just like, I can't do this. And his sister's there with him, who's going to become important in year 2, so in like 30 minutes. So he's like, I can't do this. Can I please borrow it? And this is a separate house. This is not with Logan Paul's character. So it's like, please, can I borrow it? And she's like, doesn't she say this is the last one?
Yeah, I think he was like, because basically she's a drug dealer.
Well, I thought she was going to give him Adderall or something, but no, she gives him a contact lens, and the kid puts it in, and it's like a Tron visor that starts giving him the answers to the math homework he's trying to do.
Yeah, which, like, who's selling that?
What? Yeah, wow.
Who's her connect?
Crazy advanced society.
And, like, so then, like, I don't even know, because, like, it's like she's a drug dealer, but I don't know what she's technically a dealer of, because it's a contact lens.
Yeah, later, it's like she sells study guide packets. Actually, now that we're talking about this after the fact, the fact that she has contact lenses that analyze and give you the right answer when looking at math is way more crazy and interesting than that she sells study guide packets that someone just happened to not get.
Like, I would have liked the movie, because, like, movies don't have to be an action movie, although this one definitely feels like it wanted to be an action movie sometimes.
Yeah. It thought it was more interesting than it was. It's a really slow burn, which I don't think the movie thought it was. Because, you look at those movies like Hunger Games and such, and they move pretty quick. It's like District 9 or whatever. Katniss, you're getting put into the Hunger Games. Get in there. Get to the action. Get to the kids fighting, within a good amount of runtime.
Yeah. So Painless sells the contact lens, and then she gets a call that her mom wants to come out of the hospital, and she finds out, and, like, she tries to give the doctor more money, and he's just like, no, we're way past that. Your mom, like, just go home with her.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do.
And he just was so cash about it, and I was just like, I get that you have to say this a lot of time, but not like that. Doctors still usually sound, like, nice. Not just like, we're way past that.
Yeah,
keep your money.
Her white blood cell count's too low. There's no coming back from that.
Okay, well, all right, bye, I guess, hospital. So they go home.
I'm actually pulling open... I'm actually pulling open the screenshot you took of the kid wearing the Tron visor contact. And now that I'm actually looking at this, oh my god, that is some insane math. Like equations of, like, F, and G and H. Like, you have, like, 3 different equations going on all over these fractions. Actually, there's no numbers on this. There's literally just letters.
Yeah, I
think... Where's your starting point? It's literally just f of x, g of x plus h, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, okay.
What is the word?
Yeah.
So, then, okay, so then they go to take the test, and,
you're seeing all these kids the night before, but then the day arrives of the thinning, and these kids all head to this, like, so far of what we've seen of, the city, it's looked pretty normal. But here it's like the most postmodern looking school ever. Something like, is there a single right angle, or is it all these weird, unconnected parts of it? Like, real quick, so over the holidays, my mom was watching the movie Serenity on TV, which was the TV movie that was made for the show Firefly, which got canceled, so they made a movie to wrap it all up. And I know I walked in on it in, like, the back 1/3. So I don't know how they got here, but it looked really, really cheap. And I walked in on the scene where, like, they fly a ship to a new planet, and on that planet, it's basically just, like, a courtyard you'd expect in an outdoor mall-like area, only super bright and super saturated. And they, like, walk around that for, like, a minute. Nothing happens. Then they see, like, a zombified person in the wall or something, and then find some secret or something. But it just, that scene in The Thinning reminded me of that, probably because of the lighting and the desaturation. But just like they flew to a planet to just land in an empty courtyard and just walk around it.
Yeah.
Like, a minute, what? But yeah, this was some insane, like, kind of buildings here for this high school.
So then, Painless, she's fine. She's ready to take the test. Logan Paul asks her, like, hey, so do you have any more of those contact lenses? She's like, I'm all out. Sorry, bud. So we can't get one for Leah Marie Johnson, who ends up failing the test. Everyone else passed, so we could just go over that. But then the movie, at this point, it's been like 15 minutes, and we've just been watching kids, like, literally study for a test.
Study for a test and take the test, and they all take it in these, those kind of classrooms that are more like in colleges, where it's long tables and you all sit next to each other, and they all take the test on these tablets. And it's just super stupid set design, I'm sorry, but, like, while taking the test, like, on the screen in front of them is just a whole bunch of timers, like, all, synced, all just counting down the time left in, big numbers. It's just like, okay, movie, come on.
Yeah. Then But then I guess the movie was like, Lucas can kind of like wandering for a bit. Maybe we can be an action movie now. So Logan Paul's just like pushing people out of the way who aren't in his way. And he's running to go give Leah Marie Johnson an out. One thing I also noticed that's funny is that when he was like saying like run Ellie while he's holding a guard down on the floor, one, there's two guards right there who could easily stop any of this. But also Leah Marie Johnson has such a slow react time to it. She like looks around like, oh, who, me?
Yeah.
But also, why isn't everybody trying to run?
Yeah.
Why were they like, hey,
So
Leah Marie Johnson, he's like, you can escape. We're just gonna wait here. Go.
Logan Paul's character, I forgot his name. Oh my god. Brian?
Blake.
I was thinking every other B name. Brian, Brett. So Blake passes the test, but his girl fails, and all the students who fail are getting led away to go get, dealt with, taken care of, da-da-da-da-da. And so Logan's like, I have to save her. So yeah, what he does is he, like, punches out one of the guards and starts fighting him and is yelling, like, run! Yeah, run, Ellie, run! And all the other kids who are getting, who failed and would be getting led to their deaths, run in one direction while she runs, like, in the other direction, straight into, like, 3 other guards. So she gets captured again. Immediately.
So then that's the first thing. It ends with like them both screaming no and getting pulled away tragically apart.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they were just on a date. No. Okay, so now it's year 2, and before the thinning, Fate and Liz doesn't really do much on her end. She's just helping her siblings study, and the teacher who gave her test comes over to bring him a casserole.
Yeah, you basically just see, like, well, because all the characters have to take it again. So you're just sort of seeing, what's going on in their lives. I guess, with the other girl, Lena, you're seeing Lena's sister, kindergarten-age sister, who I guess is going to take her first test.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like, Lena's a senior. She has to take it again. Blake's a senior. He has to take it again. Kellen, who is the other kind of main character kid, has to take it again.
Yeah. We do meet, and then they decide to introduce us to 2 more characters that we're not really going to get to know either in this movie. But we meet Wade Freeman, all-star quarterback, because he's throwing a football, and we're like, who is that? And then we see later, oh, that's who he is. Then we also meet this other girl. I don't even think they tell us her name, but basically she goes to her teacher, which is this other guy who's Logan's teacher, and they canoodle so that she can pass and not get thinned.
Yeah, they you obviously don't see it happen, you just see aftermath, but they make out in the front of a car, which I don't know why this movie doesn't think cars have back seats, but yeah, that's basically there. I mean, the girl is not important. That's basically there to show that the good teacher sees the bad teacher do this favor for a student. You know. And the good teacher, I don't remember her name, but she's Lena's.
Yeah.
The woman teacher.
Yeah.
So it's like they're actually trying to set up a bunch of kind of subplots.
That are going to happen through this
movie is not complex. It's not even an hour and a half. It's also really slow and dull. I guess these things do pay off. Like the woman teacher will do something to save herself to screw over the male teacher who does, the favors for students.
But then we also
okay.
Yeah, but then when the test happens this time, because Logan Paul before the test, he does really angry push-ups.
Right. Shows off his shirtless body. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all mad that his girl got taken away from him last year. So, this year, his plan is to deliberately fail the test to stick it to his dad.
And he mails his dad a vlog.
I don't think he even mails it. He sticks it in a mailbox maybe knowing that he's being supervised since he's just down the street from his dad's mansion.
Yeah,
and then the person pulls his mail out of the mailbox and brings it back to his dad.
So then his dad watches, he gets so angry and he has to make a call.
Right. The test is going on. Logan is intentionally failing. And the dad hears about this during it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just one thing about the dad finding out. Because the movie also realized, we slowed down again. We started going. We got to rev up again. We just have dad break a chair really angrily.
Oh, yeah. I gotta say, the dad, I think, is the best actor in the movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it is really kind of wild how he gets Logan's tape, and it's like, if you're seeing this, I'm already dead. I will deliberately perform bad at this year's thinning to be taken away, as vengeance for what you did to my girl or something.
My girlfriend wants to
the
stand
dad
by
watches
this
this,
system.
and he just gets so mad. He's like, ah! And he reaches over, grabs a chair, picks it up, raises it high above his head, slams it down, smashes it, and
Yeah. And then the movie's like, okay, that was enough.
Yeah.
Take a breath. We're going to slow down again.
So the dad calls, his team at the school that is overseeing this, and he's like, you have to do something. You have to save my son. So you see that, in the control room, they start doing some sciencey stuff on the computers, or moving some things around. And then the test results come, because they give the test results right afterwards. I guess that's why they did electronically.
Yeah.
Oh, we saw some really bad math on one of the tests.
Yes.
And I want to look at this now.
Yeah.
Okay, why do you have brackets? The brackets do nothing. It's just, you don't even need to bracket. It's PEMDAS. Just put it together.
It's also it's your scratch paper. It doesn't really need to even look nice.
Okay, question 1. It's not even paper. It's on tablets. Question 1. 3x plus y equals 19, and x plus 3y equals 1. Obviously, you have to put this on screen. It's x, but find the value of 2x plus 2y. Okay, so you're given two equations, so normally you put them together and you figure out one of the variables by, substitution or whatever. Instead, this kid just puts the equations together.
Yeah.
And gets 1. And simplifies it down.
Because also the question is just find the value of 2x plus 2y. It's not asking you to, solve for any variables or anything.
I guess so, yeah. They're not actually asking you to find the variables.
So which makes it even,
That's not as bad as I first thought.
Yeah.
I thought, you'd have to do the variables or whatever. So putting these stupid brackets in doesn't really do anything. But I think, maybe that works out. Because, you can divide all by 2, and you're just looking for a singular answer. Okay, his handwriting is immaculate. I wish I had that handwriting when doing just, fingerprint whatever.
Yeah.
But, okay, that's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah. So, but it's still weird.
Yeah, sorry. I was paying attention to that rather than the plot. It was getting pretty boring, kid.
Yeah, so then, but here's the thing. So the dad makes a call, and then the head guard, who, everyone else is wearing these masks, but he doesn't have to wear a mask because he's scary enough because he's got all these scars on his face.
Yeah.
And, so he's like, okay, can we prove the thing? He's like, no, you need to, do another pass, basically. And so he wants to make it so that his son, Logan Paul, passes the test, but they still need to cull the school by 5%, so they're gonna fail somebody else. So in the end, he doesn't have to get thinned, but Peyton List does have to get thinned.
Right. So they're going through the results afterwards, and it's like, Kid 1, you fail, get taken away. Kid 2, you fail, get taken away. They're only reading off the names of the kids who failed. And finally, to ramp up the tension the most, the last person they read off is, Lena, da-da-da-da-da, you fail. And it's like, what? And, she gets dragged off, and then it's like, congratulations, everyone else passes. And it cuts to Blake, who's like, what? But I deliberately tried to fail, something's up.
Yeah, so he's gonna start doing stuff, but we're not
And-
gonna see him for a while.
and-
one of the other plots, really quick, is that the girl who had to like be with the teacher, it didn't work out, and she got thinned anyway. Which I guess means that he targets students who are most likely to fail, so he can like. There's no evidence behind that it happened because they're thinned. I guess.
I mean, she came to him, but yeah.
But he said he was going to fix it, but I guess he just didn't do anything.
Nice. I actually didn't realize that. And Kellen, we keep forgetting to mention Kellen, since he's just such a nothing character for the first half, but he's like in love with Lena. Actually, the first year, like the first time they explain him, he does that stupid thing where he gives his character's motivation out loud so that you know what it is. It's like he sees Lena talking with Blake, and he's like, "What, are you two a thing?" And she's like, "No." And I forget what he says, but he's like, "Well, certainly you're not talking to the guy who's been in love with you, you know, ever since they first met." And it's like, script writers, please.
Yeah, because she says, "Oh no, we're not. He doesn't even know my name." And then he's like, "Oh, well, that can't be as bad as like being in love with your best friend, and she's in love with a guy who doesn't even know her name." Oh
yeah, that's it. So yeah, Kellen is like, Kellen is like, he loves Lena secretly or whatever. So like year 2, when Lena gets dragged off at the thinning, he's devastated. He's all sad and stuff. He's also wearing like suspenders. Or whatever.
That's important to his character too.
Alright, so those are kind of the three main guys. Blake, who tried to fail, but, was saved by his dad cheating the system. Lena, who got Blake's score transferred to her, so who failed, even though she actually did really well. And then Kellen, who has hacking powers or something, and so he's going to try and do something about it as well.
Yeah, so then... Stacy Dash, the teacher, the lady teacher, she tries to talk to the guards and like, there's no way she could have failed, but that doesn't work, so she's gonna get thinned anyway. But before she does, she hands her like teacher button thing.
She hands Lena the teacher button.
Yeah, it gives her a teacher button, and it's like, there's always a chance, which is what she said before they took each test. And like close it in her hand, and then like leaves. Then Peyton is just, they show like, so this is where the movie I feel slows down the most, because there's like 2 things going on and 2 things only. So all of the guards are either with the passing kids at like their career day prom thing, or all the guards are taking these like 14 kids, it seemed like, to get thin.
Yeah. Imagine this. So imagine this. Anyone who's in high school and has taken any, standardized tests, or heck, anyone past high school who just remembers that. All right, imagine you take this test and you pass. You know the results immediately and you pass. And so where you go is like this one room in the school where they've basically just tried to set it up as like a party activity room. There's strobe lights and some generic music, and so you're just supposed to like dance and have fun. But it's also a career day, because there's at least one guy there handing out business cards like, "Hey, congratulations, you passed. Have you considered working for me in my field?" Like, yeah, they combine like some Friday nightclub kind of after school party kind of low budget thing with, career day. And that's where you go immediately after passing your test. I think I'd choose to fail as well. That sounds like torture for high school kids. They all know what's going on. Come on, this is an elementary school where you can get away with just plugging a disco ball into the ceiling and having Rice Krispies as snacks on the side.
And so then, but then Logan Paul and Kellen are watching the news, and like it's like at this point, I think it's because
I want to explain this because I forget why, but I just said Kellen has hacking powers, but like Kellen's dad is like the head of security or something, and that's why Kellen can do all this stuff.
Yeah, so he just. But But that's even, like, somehow he knows his dad's account to, like, the whole school thing.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, so apparently you could have been, like, cheating forever.
Yeah, I just wanted to try to make that clear, because Kellen is going to start doing stuff kind of from the inside, and
Yeah.
it makes slightly more sense watching the movie than, just hearing this without watching it.
Oh, yeah. Logan Paul sneaks out of the career day prom, and he's, like, in the hallway, and he pretends to be sick.
Yeah.
And this guard walks up and is like, oh, hey, buddy, you doing okay? And he just, like, beats him up with a baton, just, like, knocks him out.
Yeah.
And the guard does, like, nothing to even try to stop him. Like, it's a very one-sided fight.
Yeah, Logan wants to make it right. He knows he should have failed. He knows that, he passed because of who he is, like his dad interfered.
Yeah.
So, and he also wants to, expose or save the kids of this year due to losing his girl last year. So, yeah, he's going to go try to help them.
And then...
So, yeah, he fakes being sick so he can just do the smackdown on a guard and steal, like, his keys or something.
Yeah, and then he, like, cuts the power or something, and then all the people, it wasn't just girls, everyone who was going to be thinned, they get, when the power goes off, their locks that were handcuffing them to chairs snap off also, and in all the confusion, all the kids, there's like 14 of them, start like screaming and crying, like, what's going on? And paintless Lena is the only person who decides to take this chance to, like, run out of there. And she gets
I gotta
away.
point out something specific in this, because I'm an electrical engineer. So Logan makes his way to the main control room. He sneaks in when everyone else is out. And, yeah, what he does to sabotage the system. And I sure hope he disconnected this before he did. But he opens up an electrical panel, and he just sticks his hands in. And he starts pulling out wires. And I'm like, dude, please don't do that. Maintain a cautionary boundary. You are not a qualified personnel. No, but okay, in all seriousness, yeah, he opens an electrical panel and just starts pulling wires out, which, shuts down the school, and the school goes to, emergency backup lighting, which of course is evil red.
Right.
Because I guess the blue and green parts of the LEDs required too much power. So only red was programmed in to be backup power. And so, yeah, then, all the kids who failed and were about to be thinned, yeah, that, causes confusion. And yeah, as Zach said, I guess they had electronic zip ties, because this happens multiple times. Yeah, some of them are able to free themselves. Some of them attack the guards. Only Lena, goes out the door and escapes.
It's zip ties, so it doesn't make sense. But I guess it's kind of like a roller coaster. I guess when like the belt comes on and off. I was trying to figure out what do they do for this thinning, because they keep half doing it. For tension, and then something happens. So, they tie the kids down into these chairs, and then the power goes out. So it's like, what were you gonna do? I was thinking, this looks pretty dystopian. They're probably just gonna lead them to a wall and line them up and use a firing squad. But no, they keep, it's gonna be like syringes to, give them a chemical concoction or something. But yeah, Lena escapes. So Lena escapes, and then a guard's come up on her, but then Logan Paul comes and he beats him up and he saves her. Now they're on the run together. So now 2 of the 3 main stories, I guess, are combined. So now the 2 things we're gonna see from this movie is what's going on in career prom and Logan and Elena's plan to check the files.
Yeah, because when everything shuts down and the power goes out and whatever, obviously that stops all the kids who passed having fun in their career day prom whatever, and so all the guards are all like, stay where you are, don't do anything. And Kellen, who's sitting down watching TV in the corner because of course, decides he's gonna start like filming stuff as it happens or leaking info out of the school as it goes into lockdown. So basically, yeah, Kellen is doing this kind of stuff from, I'd say, you know, from the inside. He never leaves the room. He literally is in the career day room the whole time while Blake, oh my god, I almost said Bruce. I'm literally thinking of every B name except the actual one. While Blake and Lena are on the run.
Okay, so like tension is like the move, like things are actually sort of starting to like happen in the movie. You would think, but then
you would hope
the movie goes from like 20 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour. That's it
for one action scene.
Yeah, and then they're like, oof, we gotta breathe, we gotta calm down, and then they'll go back to, like, 35,
yeah,
maybe.
Because it's like, these kids are on the run, one of them, who was supposed to be dealt with, escaped, nobody leaves this school, and at that moment, I'm like, oh my god, this is one of those movies. I hate those, the worst of the worst bad movies, like, just, they're so cheap, they just end up having everything set in one location. I don't like that. I want to have movies. I want movies to have, you know, do multiple locations, change up the scenery, change up the setting. But no, it all basically all happens in this school from here on out.
And then it's weird too because like by the time like all this stuff is happening, it just feels like people are just wandering and like nothing's getting done. So it's like when Logan Paul and Pateless get together, the movie's way closer to over than it has any right to be.
Yeah, they spent so much time building up.
So now they're like an unlikely team because Logan's still salty that when he needed a contact lens for Lee Marie Johnson, Pateless didn't give it to him. So they...
Yeah, he's after he saves her, they're in the vents above everything else. And yeah, they kind of like, they catch their breath, and then he kind of chews her out for a bit.
Yeah, he's like, tell me, these kids are going to die, and you found a way to profit off them. Tell me, what'd you spend the money on? And then, sad music, I'm assuming.
Was it a car or a new dress? Come on, tell me.
And then she's like, it was my mom.
It was my mom. Now tell me, why are you being such an asshole? I actually kind of agreed with the movie, because he's like, yeah, you're right.
Sorry. He's literally sorry. I didn't mean to be. And then she's like, it's okay. Like, I'm not proud of what I did, but like, and in the end, my mom died anyway, so it didn't even matter.
That's the least of the problems here. We're living in a society where as kids, every academic year have to take tests to determine who lives or dies.
Okay, but just to clarify how not the time they decide to get... They do this for I feel like 3 moments of where the answer is only, this is actually, not the time.
Thinking about it, I'm glad they got it out of the way. Because they get that out, they snipe at each other in the vents there, but then they actually work together after that. And I'm glad they got it out of the way and didn't really force it at, like, the climactic moment, you know, or leading up.
I guess. But I still feel like they made it really weird. Okay, so they're doing that whole thing back and forth, and then she puts him in his place, like, look, my mom was really sick. I'm, desperate and all that. And he was like, yeah, okay, I get that. Then she adds, also, maybe I was just jealous because I liked you, and I was jealous of Ellie, so I didn't want to give her something that could potentially save her life. And then his answer isn't like, that's really creepy. Yikes, maybe I shouldn't have saved you. Yeah. His answer is just, wait, you liked me? Wait, what are you doing?
Yeah, we need to bring back the romantic tension, because, Blake's girl got taken out 1 year ago.
And then so now moment 2 they decide to have is where she's getting out of the vent and they do that awkward thing where they're like shuffling past each other but start touching a bit. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Ooh, no.
Oh, we're already in these oversized vents, but I'm great.
Then later on in their vent journeys, he falls out of a vent into the pool, so she jumps into the pool after him. Just so the movie was like, oh, we need to like pump some life in really quick. Okay. Good. Now they're wet.
Yeah, so it was so sudden. It was like the next thing that happened to them, which took place after like 5 minutes of conversations happening to other people. But the next trial they have to face or whatever is, they're crawling through a vent and Blake just falls through directly into the, like, Olympic-sized swimming pool that's in the gym, which happened to be completely filled. But he gets knocked out somewhere during there, so she has to drop down as well and save him, and then perform a horrible CPR on him.
Yeah, it was really frantic. Like, I think it was like 5, 3,
1,
15.
2, 3, breathe into him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, breathe into him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, let me keep going. 8, 9, 10, 11, and then he starts spitting out water. I'm like, bad technique.
It was a really bad technique. But then the next moment, like, get all the romance, like, tropes out of the way. Now they have to change, and he was just sitting there and she was like, do I have to ask you to be a gentleman or what? And then he goes to get dressed on the other side instead of just watching her undress. But then she starts looking at him because he doesn't have a top on, and then he's like, do I have to ask you to be a lady? And I was like, what are you two doing? Aren't you on the run? I thought the movie started.
Well, she smiles and then he's like, don't worry, it's fine. I got like 3 quick peeks. What do you want, dude?
He was like, I'm just messing with you. I don't care if we do this to each other.
So yeah,
and
they get new clothes. She gets like a nice blouse and a nice top, looks nice, and he just gets like a basketball shirt or something. It's weird. It's like, in ladies' locker rooms, do they often have like well picked out fashion?
That's also one thing too, because she's wearing like a sort of sporty outfit, but with a like lab coat on top.
Yeah, what? Oh my god, so much of this movie does run together at this point.
Yeah.
Like, things are going worse, cause Lena escaped, the security team's getting in trouble for that, like, the security, and the kids who did pass, obviously want to leave, but they're being held hostage. So I remember, like, one of them steps out of line, and so the guards start beating him, and Kellen secretly films it with his phone, and gets that out to this news woman he's been in contact with?
I guess, because then they see it, and then they're like, wow, that's definitely a guard hitting a passing student. So they put it in the news. But then the news lady says, this is from a source, a student from the inside. And I'm like, why did you say that? He's literally...
Gonna, take their phones or something.
Yeah, which they should, but also they're definitely going to take Kellen's at least, I would think, because he's off in the corner alone, and he's the only one on his phone.
Yeah, so like... A bunch is happening. The situation, is developing poorly to the outside world. That, during this test, something happened and the school went into lockdown. So the governor is getting in trouble. And somewhere in here, it was like, oh yeah, because they determine who was the student that escaped. So it's Lena, whoever. So, the news starts becoming that Lena, whoever, is... terrorizing the school, and it's in lockdown, and so there's a bad situation happening, so, it's all like,
Yeah, so then the next thing, so now Logan and Paul and Lena are back in the vents, but they're looking down at the guards, and that thing that the teacher gave Lena earlier, falls out of her pocket and on the floor, and the guards just don't notice. It's fine. So then they go out of the vents into a classroom so that she can make a magnet, and then instead of just like running out quickly and picking up the thing in the hallway, they decide to climb back up into the vents so that she can pull the thing down through the vent.
Yeah.
And the guards won't notice. Although luckily, Logan Paul just had a fight with a guard and switched both of their clothes so that he could go out and catch the thing.
It's so dumb. So yeah, they sneak into like a science classroom, which has a ton of like human skulls and bones in like exhibits on the side. It's kind of weird. But from what I remember, yeah. She gets like a long wire, and basically makes a magnet, which, wouldn't magnetizing a wire and then magnetizing the security chip thing to it, erase the data or whatever, that is on the security chip? You magnetize hard drives and you destroy them. Wouldn't that happen here? But yeah, then also, like, she sneaks back into the vent. Logan is still in the science room, and a guard comes in. And I swear, it is the same camera angle of, like, Logan at the short edge of this long lab bench, that the famous camera angle from Jurassic Park when the kids are hiding from the velociraptors. And, you know, the kid is at the short edge, and he looks over, and the camera pans over, and there's a velociraptor, like, standing there in the hallway or something. But
yeah.
So it's like the same camera angle. But yeah, Logan looks over, and there's a guard, and it's like he pulls out his baton. I gotta say, one of the things that totally took me, de-immersed me, was that all of these guards at this high school are only outfitted with batons and not guns. Because nowadays all the guards have guns. But all right,
especially after we watched How to Build a Better Boy, and they have guns. They're holding them out to an open crowd.
Yeah, well, that was the army.
That's
but I guess so. Yeah, you're meant to think like the guard destroyed Logan Paul, but then the girl Lena is pulling up the magnet. She magnetizes the wire by striking it like it's flinted steel.
Yeah, don't know
everything
how
about
works.
this. Like, at least do something with, like, a battery or something. But yeah, then it looks like a guard stops the thing from getting back into the vents, but it turns out Logan won the fight and stole the guard's uniform, and then also put the guard in his uniform so that we could get the fake out of thinking that Logan Paul lost the fight.
I just love, like, that only in a movie, maybe, 3-4 minutes have passed, but he still took the time to, undress him, and then, put his shoes on, make sure they're each on, tie the laces.
Yeah, do all of this work just so that when the audience sees the body lying down from the camera angle being used, they think Logan Paul lost the fight.
I think what would be an interesting thing, though, because, we didn't see any hair or a head, obviously. So I think it would be funny is if they just left him undressed and we just saw a naked body, so we're like, wait, the guard just, stole Logan's clothes. Just left him there.
It's such a movie thing.
Yeah.
But okay.
So they do that. And then now they're back together. He's basically distracting the guards and stuff so that she can sneak into the server room and hack into the mainframe.
Right. Lena makes it to the server room to try to figure out what's going on, because she knows, or she really feels like she should have passed,
Yeah.
So she gets into the server room, which is like an entire server hallway. Mm-hmm. Bob described it as what you'd expect from a supercomputer room.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it handles the entire IT of a skyscraper. Either way, yeah, it's way more server than a high school needs.
Yeah.
But yeah, she gets to the master control panel or whatever and logs in and starts viewing the details of the test. And yeah, so she, pulls up her sister, her kindergarten age sister who passed. And it's sweet and nice. And then she pulls up her thing and she sees that she got a really high score, but also failed.
So I think that's just an interesting thing in this world, the system. So now they do this just so that when she finds this, it's easy to confirm that they switched. Because otherwise
sorry.
Oh, just because it says Elena 98% fail.
And she checks Blake's score, who got 20% and passed.
Yeah.
And so it's they swapped Blake, with Lena, but they didn't swap scores.
No.
They didn't swap percentages. They only swapped the result. So yeah, it's Lena, 98% fail.
The only thing...
Blake, 20% pass.
I asked Bob once if this was possible when I showed him the movie, and I was like, okay, is it possible when they were programming this thing like the scores automatically like come as soon as the student finishes the test, and you can't alter that, but you can alter the pass fail button only.
Maybe, yeah.
And he was like, I mean, I guess if maybe they could.
Yeah, maybe.
But like that's still a weird system, especially if you know you're going to use it for corruption. Why does it matter what score these people got if you're just picking the ones that need to go so that the ones who like have rich parents or whatever don't have to lose their kids?
Yeah, I mean, that's totally how I thought this was going to go, Some folks are born made to wave the flag. It ain't me. I ain't no senator's son. No. In this case, it's I ain't no governor's son.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, maybe that the scores are like baked in or uploaded off the tablets to the global network or whatever. You can't change them. I don't know, but you can change the results. But that, sure is convenient that then Lena could send the results to Kellen as attachments. And Kellen can get those out to the world to show that definitively there was some corruption. And, it would have been totally easy, to just swap the scores as well and have it be like, oh, well, she says she did good, but look here, it shows she got a 20%. Ha-ha.
Yeah.
Convenient for movie's sake.
Yeah. So then,
she gets caught.
Yeah, she gets caught, and they're taking her away, and she's like, no, is it too late? It's not too late. Kellen got it, the information.
It's not too late. It's never too late.
I forget which scene, but earlier I wanted to quote Linkin Park.
It's always a good time to quote Linkin Park.
Yeah.
I mean, Zax, remember, forfeit the race, or forfeit the game before somebody else takes you out of the frame and puts your name to shame, okay? Cover up your face. You can't run the race. The pace is too fast. You just won't last. Hybrid Theory is amazing. People should go back and listen to it.
Yeah. Okay, so... Yeah. So then, the governor's in his room, and his, advisor has just, thrown his hand in the air. He's like, it's over. We got no moves left to play. It's over, man. It's over. Face facts.
Oh, yeah. Because the governor has, one super donor or something who's, the situation is going worse. The news reporter is revealing the stuff that Kellen sent her, so it's like she's getting out that there's corruption or something, and she's like... The super donor is calling, from the backseat of a limo or something, calls the governor's or whoever, is like, when I supported you, you weren't supposed to have these problems, okay? You figure this out now or I'm cutting you off.
Yeah. So then then the advisor goes like, we don't have any more plays, and the governor's like, there's always a way. So now the guard with the scars is like, okay, so can we commence the thinning? He's like, wait. You need to revise the list. So now, and they do another fake out thing, which is weird.
Blake,
so
Lena. Wow.
Lena, yeah.
I'm sorry. Lena gets brought back to the group that's, supposed to be thinned.
They don't get her clothes back. She's just going to stay in the prison outfit.
Right. And it's supposed to be like, oh my god, they're about to get killed. When Blake, still disguised as a guard, comes in and tries to save them. Mm-hmm. It's like, I was given executive order to take all these kids somewhere else. But, the other guards were like, I haven't heard such an order. Prove it. And so officially, when you hear Blake talk through the guards thing, it's like, wow, yeah, they all have voice distorters. That sound like they came straight from Radio Shack. But Blake tries to fight them. It almost looks like he's going to win, like a 1v6, but no, they beat him down.
Yeah, because it's just weird that while we're watching it, though, it's just one guard, and each guard waits their turn to have a go at Logan.
Yeah.
But then when we come back, all 5 of them are on top of them. So it makes me, I'm led to believe that at first we're going one by one. Then one guy was like, hey, wait a minute.
So
there's a bunch of us and only one of him.
Yeah, so it's been like a double fake out, but they beat Blake down so he can't stop them, and they're about to, I don't know, you think they're going to execute all these kids, and Lena's in there. But then, it's like the main the main guy of security, has to now he has to get verbal confirmation from the governor to go through with it. Whereas before it was just like, oh, just run this part of the program.
I mean, I guess that's what he was doing before when the governor told him to do the swap. Maybe?
Yeah, I took that more as an emergency kind of thing on the governor's part, and not
they didn't
Governor,
make it
do we have permission to view the test data? It's very like, what's the word? Where it's like, oh, yeah, of course this step has to be there to save the day. But yeah, the governor, Blake's dad, with his back against the wall, decides that, the only thing to do is to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And by that in no way means let's not do this thinning thing where we kill these kids each year. No, everyone's still cool with it. Here, the right thing to do is to, unswap the test results, even if that means, losing his son. So Lena gets freed, and Blake gets put in the lineup of kids to be disposed of. Yeah. All the kids get injected with like this white liquid.
Yeah, white goop.
And then Lena gets to be part of the group that gets to leave.
She gets to go to career day prom, and she goes out. Her sister and her is waiting with her teacher.
Yeah,
and they have a nice reunion. They hug.
Oh yeah. Also, Wade, all-star quarterback, who along the way also got saved. Like he had a failing score, but he was also swapped to someone else. Got, unsaved, and so you see him getting dragged out of career day and put in the lineup. It's all done right. I gotta say. So Blake and Wade and the kids who failed, who did fail, get, just taken away. There's a reason I'm being very vague with my wording here. While Lena gets, saved and and where was I going with this? Oh, right. Yeah. I do just want to say right now that I actually do kind of love that everyone is okay with the thinning as a thing. Like, even the news reporter was just reporting on that there was corruption going on with the results, and Blake's father, the governor, saves the day and saves himself by throwing the main guard, Scar Dude, under the bus and choosing to, have his son go away. And I love all of that because you watch movies that took place like a decade or two ago, or shows like The West Wing that again took place, several years ago. And people in positions of power, senators, governors, will get in trouble for things that people won't get in trouble for today. They say you live in like a post-consequence kind of society. I mean, look at the last 4 years of, saying all this terrible stuff, doing all this terrible stuff, and just having nothing bad happen to you. And so I was thinking, if like the governor was going to get in a lot of trouble for this thing going on, and it was almost going to be saccharine in a way, like, if only in the real world. So I actually kind of like how, he basically saved himself by, undoing the corruption, but that, nothing, aside from losing his son, nothing bad happened to him, and also he, could just throw someone under the bus here. And, again, that everyone was okay with the thinning. Like, the news anchor was only reporting on that there was some unjust corruption going on with this thinning system.
Yeah.
Like, Katniss tried to stop the Hunger Games for good. These people were just trying to stop some minor little corruption happening in one area during this whole, killing people test.
We're gonna plan, 15 funerals this year?
So it's just that is great.
But,
that the thinning is such a backbone of this society. Yeah. No one actually has a problem with the thinning as an event. And that's beautiful.
But keep it fair. Don't cheat.
Yeah.
You need to earn your death honestly. Okay, but then Surprise, surprise, the movie isn't actually over yet because we follow the kids with the filled up with white goo to this.
If you put it that way, come on, Zax.
I did not mean it that way. No.
There's so many other words in the English language you could have used in any other order.
That wasn't. I didn't mean it, though.
Okay, you see a few shots of, like, a van with the kids in the back, all... I mean, I thought they were dead, but they're unconscious. All, like going to a top-secret facility, and then all of them going down on this elevator, which, again, I thought they were all dead, so it's just like, why did they dump all these kids' bodies on an elevator just to take them down? But no, it's... Logan starts to slowly wake up. It was just sedative or something. And do you want to give the major twist, the final little twist?
That nobody ever died. They just get put here to make more tablets. And the tablets are what we take the test on.
You're seeing all these people in the basement of this facility arranging and the tablets that everyone was using for the test. And Logan slowly is waking up from the sedative as he's going down the elevator, and he looks over, and one of the women on the assembly line wearing, basically the face mask that everyone else, has been wearing, takes it off, and it's Ellie. Oh my god. The kids weren't disposed of. They were all, I guess, like enslaved to keep the system going. Dun 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 dun. Because that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
The fitting.
And the movie did get a sequel. So they could tie up loose ends, sort of.
Did it also star Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they're both on his channel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, in summary, pretty boring, pretty slow. But again, I thought Logan Paul's one of those personalities I thought would have dominated the movie and had made it be all about him. But surprisingly enough, that wasn't the case. So, okay, I guess one credit to him that way.
Yeah.
But still just pretty average experience, yeah.
Yeah, the way the pacing, also the premise itself is wild because, just being frank, why, especially, so the whole point of this is that they just want the best possible factory workers. So that's why they chose the thinning. But they don't show us what happened to the 5-year-olds that they carted off. We only see the teens in the line to be thinned.
The final twist is one of those things where, you think about it for even a second and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so they didn't dispose of at least the high school kids. Instead, they kept them alive as secret workers to the system, which, one, didn't actually fulfill the goal needed of getting rid of 5% of the population.
Yeah, which also, that's one thing too, though. If just so they're supposed to lower the population by 5%. So if they're only putting high school workers to work, they either went ahead with killing the kids that aren't old enough to work, or they're just taking care of kids who aren't old enough yet to work.
Yeah, because the two part of my thing was, what do they do to all the younger kids? Because again, it is very clearly established that every grade of, K through 12 system takes these tests every year. So you think about it for 1 second and it's like, what? What?
Yeah. So, and in the sequel, here's a spoiler. I don't believe we see what happens to the kindergarten children. We just continue following Logan Paul people, which is I guess, what?
Yeah, they opened up there. You have so many questions if you think about it.
Because they made such a big deal about the fact that little kids take the test. Because, there's this little boy who asked his teacher, I don't understand this question. Can you help me? And then the guard looks at her hey, no.
Yeah. Like,
Which I
this
was thinking
teacher
about,
gets
like-
distraught that she has to send some little kids off to their doom.
Which, like, I feel like, I don't think it's even really cheating if, like, a teacher helps clarify a question, is it? Like, not solve the problem for them, but just, like, I mean, is that, if the question's weirdly worded?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know what the answer to that is. But the guard was just like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was The Thinning, starring Logan Paul. And
I'd give it like a 4 out of 10. It wasn't horrendous, but
it just, I feel like the biggest problem was like the pacing. Just like so slow, except for the moments where they went like, but nothing moves forward fast. It's just, they just like speed up really quick and then slow right back down. It's just like,
yeah, it's
okay.
like suddenly a bunch will happen quickly and then it goes back to dragging itself out.
But it's still not like you went from like A to C really quick. It's, you still only, by the time the speed bumps over, you only went like to A, B.
A to A and a half, and
Yeah.
just like in retrospect after watching it, you're like, wow, what happened in the first 1/3, that was totally slow, but then what happened in the next 5 minutes was fast. Like, you kind of start to realize that there were these pacing issues. Like, you notice during it, but then you really notice it afterwards.
Because, like, one of the things we were even talking about was, like, you don't even need to have the first test, right?
Right. I was trying to figure out if the only result from test 1 was that Ellie got taken away and Billy? What's his name?
Oh, Blake.
Every other name that starts with B, except for Blake. I can't think of it, which is amazing, since I record with a Blake every weekend.
Yeah!
But
you don't
Billy,
want to taint
Bruce,
him with Logan
Brian,
Paul.
Whatever, it's the rule of 3, okay? It happened a third time. I totally didn't mean that, but like, so the only results of year 1 is that Ellie gets taken away and Blake gets mad enough to do something year 2, which is why I was thinking, could that just have been year 2, Ellie gets taken away, Blake tries to do something then and there that leads down this whole plot.
Yeah,
but I guess
so
if that happens, you don't really have Lena, since her whole character arc was that she got her results swapped with Blake when Blake tried to deliberately fail.
Yeah, but I feel like what could have also happened was that he and Leah Marie Johnson are like part of the rebellion, and they both planned together to take a stand, and they were both going to purposely fail their test together. But he left a note to his dad, which could basically say the same thing. My dad chooses to stand by the system. Well, let's see how he feels when he has to stand by the system that killed his own son. Which doesn't really change. You could just not like the fact that a bunch of your friends die every year. It doesn't just have to be because your girlfriend got taken away.
Yeah, that would have made Blake more of an activist than just someone who was mad he lost his girl last time, and so he's gonna stick it to his dad this time.
Yeah.
Like, if Ellie survived the previous year, Blake probably wouldn't have done anything or cared at all.
Yeah, the story would not have
I don't know.
happened.
I don't want to say that.
But, like, I mean, but you're still right, though. But then, yeah, they could have been, like, activists just doing it on purpose, but the dad, he would still leave the same letter to his dad, the vlog or whatever. So then he would swap the score, so then Leah Marie Johnson is still set to go, but they swap Logan Paul's with hers. Also, in the movie, one thing that's weird is I'm under the impression, although they don't like really go out of their way to say this, but the dad made such a big deal about, like, Ellie was a problem. So, like, they do this every year, rig it to be corrupt. So did the dad just, like, swap Ellie's test because she was too much of a problem for his son? In which case, because, like,
I'm trying to remember. I mean, sure, it was like,
'cause then
you gotta stop thinking about your girl. You have to focus on this test. But I think Blake actually did pass the first test, like, through
Yeah,
his
he
own
passed-
merit.
But I mean, there are other people, like Wade Freeman is also one of the people whose tests get switched out. Like, there are a lot of kids, not just Blake.
Right. So I guess
So-
you're saying it could have been that Ellie was swapped with someone else, but the movie didn't really go down that route.
But they kind of hinted at it because Logan Paul calls his dad immediately. He's like, please, like, Ellie lost. You have to fix this somehow. And he's like, oh, sorry, son. But we all have to stand by the test.
I guess so. Yeah.
So that's why I think that. But then I guess they forgot about that
I guess
anyway.
when it happens, you don't know that they can swap the results or something. So, like, you don't really think about it that much. And then, obviously, what happened to her already happened. So when everything else happens, you never really revisit. Like, hey, did that happen to Ellie?
Yeah.
You know, like, the movie doesn't really bring Ellie back, like, the idea of her back, until the big twist at the end. So it's
And
like,
then-
she didn't really come back into my thoughts. It's like, oh, crap, is that what happened to
Yeah.
her?
That's true. The other thing, too, that I'm like, they're trying to fit in a lot of social commentary in this movie, but I don't really even know, like, to what end. But the other thing was there's this teacher who, like, because of the thinning, he takes advantage of,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so that we mentioned that at the beginning. But basically, his system is just like he picks like a dumb girl, I guess. I don't know. Who he's like, you're for sure gonna fail. But he promises that he can change the test, but then he doesn't do anything, so they get thinned anyway. And then there's no witnesses. But then, and like, we don't really, like, I guess. I don't really know what else there is to say on that, but his only comeuppance is that Stacey Dash is like, oh, okay, you're kind of a creep, so I'm gonna pretend to flirt with you so I can steal your teacher button so I can replace the one that I gave to Lena, and then you'll go down. But also with the thinning, we don't see him either. So what did they do?
He gets, like, the guards know that one of the teachers doesn't have their button because they gave it to Lena.
Right.
So the guards all line them up, to check all the teachers. Somewhere in here, the good teacher, kind of flirts with the bad teacher to steal his badge. And so then she is covered for. She has all her stuff while he gets in trouble and gets beat down by the guards. And I guess taken away?
But it's not like they're gonna let us know. But okay, yeah. So that was the thinning.
Yeah, for a YouTuber-led movie, it's about what I expected.
Yeah. It's just a weird, like, universe if you think about it for a second. But,
Yeah.
okay, well, thank you for coming on this video with me.
Thank you for showing me this movie and having me to discuss it.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening. And remember to join the Discord server, comment, like, and subscribe because we all need friends.